Natural. What does that even mean? The definition of natural is existing in or caused by nature, not made or caused by humankind. So products that are labeled as natural are good for us, right? Well, sometimes, but not always. It can be confusing. So today we're breaking down some of the ingredients in natural products that we might want to avoid because not all of it is good for us or our skin. Some natural ingredients clog our pores, preventing us from sweating, but our bodies need to sweat. It's a form of detoxification that is necessary in all of us. Other ingredients affect the pH of our skin, opening up our natural protective barrier to irritants and rashes. Dr. Kell clears up some of the confusion and educates us on better ingredients. Change your products, change your life. Welcome to Health Talk with Dr. Kell. I'm your host, Niki Sterner, and today we're going to be getting into something that we've discussed in previous episodes, Earthacorp, the corporation that Dr. Kell started, and we are going to hear a little bit more about Ocean Bay Naturals, which is one of the divisions of it. So, Dr. Kell, can you go into that a little bit for us?
Yeah, I'd like to briefly mention about Earthacorp. We have 4 divisions, actually starting a 5th as well. Ocean Bay Naturals is focused on health and hygiene. We have another one called Jack's Organics that will be focused on house and garden products. And again, these are all natural products and many of them organic. You know, in today's environment, as people understand the difference between organic and natural, it usually has to do with the way things are grown. And natural has no pesticides. Organic means it's been at least 7 years without in a soil that's had nothing put on it. And there's other factors involved with the definition, but those are the main aspects. And that's why some of the products are natural, but haven't quite reached their organic level of that many years of growth, et cetera. However, so the other divisions, we have Pet Lovers Naturals. We're working on pet products that are all natural for animals. A lot of stuff given to animals today, from the foods they're given to drugs they're given, things like that, are synthetic and again, like with humans, may be beneficial in the short term, but ultimately aren't so much. But food mainly is what we feed our pets is nasty. But also, so Jack's Organics, Pet Lovers Naturals, Ocean Bay Naturals, also an auto one that we're working on, that auto care products. You know, you clean your car, you go spray the inside of your car. Okay. One of the environmental things we've talked about earlier in the last podcast, we were talking about the environment. Many of the sprays, the deodorizing sprays that people spray around their house, read the chemicals on the bottle, you'll stop using it.
Yeah.
Ours, we're under development now for the spray deodorizer. And that'll be all natural and organic ingredients in that. Works really well. Our testing so far is going really well, so we should have that one available soon.
Those are cleaning products?
There'll be cleaning products as well. Actually, that's an air freshener product.
Okay.
You've seen, a lot of companies sell air freshener products, but nobody really reads the ingredients too much or pays attention to that. As long as it doesn't stink in the house, they're happy, but they're exposing themselves to all kinds of odd things. And
then you have the Faye Adderley,
skincare, and we'll eventually be developing cosmetics along those lines as well. Yes. But yes, that a lot of ladies are happy about that. That we'll have everything from facial cleansers to body cleansers to serums, etc.
I'm looking forward to that.
This goes on.
Yeah.
Okay,
so tell me more.
Big plans. Ocean Bay Naturals. That's the one we decided to focus on first, just because it. One of the reasons is because it actually was a bit simpler to develop those products, and they're ones that affect a larger part of the environment. When I consider the health and hygiene sector, it's a product. All these products are used by millions and billions of people around the world. Everything from deodorant to shampoos, body cleansers. Again, previously mentioned air freshener. I should have made a full list, although that would have taken up the entire podcast, because I really think we'll probably end up within the next 2, 3 to 4 years, probably hundreds of different products. We have the one product on our website now, which is our all-natural deodorant spray. I know a lot of people are concerned about sprays because everybody's used to using roll-ons or sticks. Sticks probably the most popular. I did want to talk a little bit about that because it's a big issue. People for years were using the aluminum-based deodorants.
Those are the sticks?
Yeah. Most sticks, gels, real common, been for many years to put aluminum in the deodorants. And aluminum is known to clog pores. We've talked about that in the past, too. Mm-hmm. It's one of the reasons it works. It clogs your pores so it reduces your sweating and actually causes dysfunction of the glands, your sebaceous glands and sweat glands. There are other common things in deodorants. I mean, now more and more people, interestingly enough, if you look at the United States, the natural deodorant market is exploding. However, there's still probably 85% of the population still using the aluminum-based deodorants, although you're seeing the companies who have been selling the aluminum-based deodorants for years starting to remove the aluminum, yet they're still full of other chemicals. And there's other companies calling themselves natural, and I think we briefly mentioned that previously too about the definition of natural. What does really natural mean?
What does that mean to you?
Basic definition is to the average person and to the companies out there producing products is basically saying, did it come from nature?
That's what they're saying.
That's really the basis. And there's all kinds of things that come from nature that aren't good for our bodies.
Oh, okay.
If you look at the sticks and why they are popular is because they're easy. Mm-hmm. It's basically a paste that you put it on and it leaves a little coating on your underarm. And again, they've removed the aluminum, but they've added in other things that aren't necessarily good for you, even though they're natural. Baking soda is a big one. Baking soda is virtually in all stick deodorants, almost all of them. And basic.
Wait, you're saying the baking soda is in like the commercial, like the ones that people have been using forever?
A lot of these companies are now adding it.
Or the natural ones now?
The natural ones.
Oh,
I'm referring to the ones that call themselves natural.
The newer ones.
The natural sticks. Many of the most popular ones that you'll find. I mean, I guess we're going to have a day where we're going to kind of put all these up online and discuss them, but I don't really want to necessarily mention any of them at the moment. But check your ingredients. Why is baking soda bad? Baking soda is put in cookies, right?
Yeah, and some people do it in like detox baths and stuff.
Yeah,
Why?
Yeah, well, under certain conditions, it's okay.
So it's okay.
But the problem with baking soda, alcohol does a similar thing. It raises the pH of the product, and then you put that on your skin, and it changes the pH on your skin. Why is that important? Your skin pH is roughly around 6, 5.8, 6.2, roughly in there, which means it's slightly acidic. 7 is considered neutral. Baking soda and alcohol both are at a pH of 8. So they go way high. Reason they use it, does it eliminate bacteria or keep the bacteria from growing? It does. It works in that way, and the bacteria is what causes your body odor. Toxins being expelled out of your system too, and your sweat can also, if you don't have a very good diet, can also produce some of that odor. But a big part of it is from the bacteria. As it grows, it produces a gas. That gas given off, and you smell funky. So the intent here with our product and how we developed it was to provide a product that inhibited the growth of the bacteria, but was also healthy and safe on the skin. When you raise your pH up to a pH of 8, all of a sudden you've exposed the skin to a more basic condition, and now the skin reacts in a way that isn't good. I mean, the skin likes it at about a 6. There are other companies that sell an acid product, and theirs lowers it down below the natural pH, which again inhibits the growth of bacteria, but also is damaging to the skin. You hear a lot of people today getting rashes, or after some instantly or repeatedly get rashes. People that are hypersensitive to things, we get a lot of people asking us, is your product safe on sensitive skin? And it is, mainly because it actually is skin healing. We've had people take our product and say they put it on cuts and things and had them heal faster, and put it on rashes and had the rashes go away. We're not promoting that product, specifically the deodorant, for that. We're actually in the process of creating products that are helpful in that way too, specific for those things. But it works really well on the skin and even sensitive skin. And people need to consider if their skin is sensitive, they probably have got issues with their diet. Hypersensitive skin is a form of an allergy. So inflammation issues going on in their system in one form or another.
Okay, so when I'm thinking back to when I was using deodorant, and I used to use Speed Stick, so it was like the green clear sport scent one. And when I decided to switch to natural, because I was going through my health issues with breast implants and everything, I remember I stunk so bad. Like I just could not get anything to work because I just had, I don't know if you're saying there was just so much toxic buildup that had accumulated over time that needed to just like be flowing through my glands. Is that what you're saying? Like when people use the aluminum, that it just basically clogs everything and you get it back up. So when you open it up, you're going to get a lot of stink and stench coming out?
Absolutely. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. They'll switch to even some of the deodorants now that are considered natural that use the baking soda, the alcohol, the acids, etc. And I've got a list of probably 20 plus different ingredients that are common to deodorants and other health and hygiene products you can find on our website and download that if you'd like to, which is Ocean Bay Naturals.
OceanBayNaturals.com. Did you try a bunch of different deodorants when you were switching over?
Oh, yeah. I've used several.
What were some of the ingredients that you saw that you went, oh my gosh, I need to make sure I don't have this in the thing that I'm producing?
Well, years ago, I used a stick, and I found the stick over time, and that was an aluminum base. I just didn't like the feel of the pastiness of a stick over time, and it did tend to irritate my skin more, and I'd get rashes more frequently. I switched to a gel kind that was more of a gel type substance, but it was still aluminum, and even that bothered me. And then as I became more educated and realizing, hey, this aluminum isn't good for me, I started trying some other natural deodorants. Oddly enough, there are no natural deodorants that I could find that were in gel form. They were all in a stick or a roll-on or a spray. And tried using some of the stick ones, didn't like them, caused rashes. I tried the baking soda-based ones. I tried them all, actually, and didn't find them all that beneficial. And then as I read the ingredients and realized that many of those ingredients aren't good on the skin, baking soda may be fine in a bath. It's on there temporarily, and you're rinsing it off afterwards. A little bit in your body, as soda is a form of salt. It is okay in the cookies, I suppose, although we know a lot of cookies aren't really good for us either. But we all like to have a little treat now and then.
What about those clear mineral salt deodorants? Have you
salt on your skin? Once again, changes the pH. We produce our own salts when we sweat, but making things too salty can irritate the skin as well. So we're already in a state of reduce your salt intake. Why put more salt on the outside and have it reabsorbed and have it being absorbed into your system as well?
So that's similar to eating it, putting it on your skin. Either way,
the skin. Certain areas of your skin are highly absorptive, and under your arms is one of them. In those other areas, feet, face, the groin area. Moisture, things, the skin there absorbs things very easily. Fortunately, those are areas that are darker areas, and so bacteria tends to grow there in those regions as well, and you can get fungal infections and bacterial infections. So you need to keep those areas clean.
Okay, so before the show, you mentioned that you were working on a nonprofit. What are you focusing on with that?
Well, we already. As we're going along, donate a percentage of our proceeds to nonprofits that are environmentally focused. I don't like to consider myself a liberal environmentalist. I'm more of a conservative environmentalist. So I care about the environment, but things need to change in a progressive manner. Turning the faucet off immediately just causes nothing but chaos. So, but anyway, our intent is to donate a percentage of our profits, our net profits, to nonprofits that focus on air, water, soil cleanup, so that we create better ways to grow organic crops. We create better ways to clean our water. I don't suggest that they add minerals back into our water, because we know when the government or whoever gets involved in doing that kind of thing, typically they just put synthetic things back in. We all know now about the ill effects of fluoride, or at least we've been taught about those things. So adding fluoride back into the water, that needs to be removed from our water. Fluoride should no longer exist in our water. That actually causes depletion of minerals in our body. Anyway, about the nonprofit, we are in the process of creating our own nonprofit, because we want the proceeds and the money and others who can donate to us for that to go specifically to the purposes of why we're doing this all to begin with. We want to improve the lives, the health and well-being of everybody.
Yeah. So why should I care about Ocean Bay Naturals and your company? What sets you apart from all these other companies?
I don't know that you should care about us, other than we're trying to help. We're doing what we can to help you be healthier. And so if you want to get healthier, I would say use our products. Simple as that. But look into us, read the stuff we have, listen to our podcast. If you don't use us, use something. Stop using the chemicals. Stop putting stuff on your body and in your body. And to the point that you can alter and improve the air and water you drink, and the food you eat. We're all about that. And I think happiness, lack of depression, we talked in the last podcast a lot about emotional issues and problems. It's a big issue. And the healthier you can be, the less depressed you will be. So we're focused on that.
Yeah, let me tell you. I mean, when I get exposed to something, like whether it's like smoke outside, chemical exhaust from an old car, like my husband has an MG that came from our family, and I have to be really careful because, it lets out exhaust. I can get like an instant headache and feel really bad. So like these chemicals are everywhere, and if we're not careful, they can cause like instant inflammation in your body. And so we have to really clean it up.
Yes, we do. And there's a fine line there too, Niki. And I'm not saying this is your case, but I know there are people out there that once you discover that these things are affecting you, the emotional aspect comes into it. And in some cases, and an emotional response is just as real as an actual chemical reaction. It can cause immediate inflammation. It can cause allergies to occur in your system, whether it's in your nose, like with sneezing, or reactions with your bowels to where you get diarrhea or even vomiting. In some cases, go ahead.
If I'm sitting next to somebody who has a bunch of perfume on, or their fabric softener is really, really strong, for like if I'm at a basketball game or something like that. So I'm sitting next to them for an hour and they're up and down and I'm getting whiffs of this. I can go home and my mood can change like that all of a sudden because of whatever inflammation has kicked in, and it just comes out of the blue. And yet I have to trace back and go, what is going on? What was I exposed to? And it's something as simple as sitting next to somebody. So, I mean, I know I'm not the only one who's sensitive to things like this. So it would be awesome if everybody used clean products, because then we wouldn't have to be so careful about, who we sit next to or, what we're buying. Because if everything was just cleaned up, then it would be easy. But I think what you're doing is great, because people don't know about this if they're not sensitive to it.
You're right. And things do need to change and improve. However, I tend to be one of those people that feels that no matter what your sickness or problem or illness is today, unless you're extremely old, there are ways to improve on that. Like, for instance, you said I think everybody should use clean products, and they should. However, if we're really working on our nutrition, trying to eat the right things, trying to exercise right, our body can overcome the reactions. So ideally, and the human body, when you're younger, often has the ability to deal with these things. And look in the air. When you can see the air with the sun shining through, sometimes you see all kinds of junk floating in the air all around us all the time.
Yeah.
And you're breathing in all that stuff. So your body doesn't immediately react to all those things. Some people it does. But the reality of it is your body can withstand a lot of stuff. And so if I sit next to somebody who doesn't care, and they're vaping or smoking or they got something smelly on them, I'll move if I can. If I can't, I try to keep my emotional state in a sense of that's not going to bother me. It's not going to bother me. I'm not going to let that bother me. And most of the time it doesn't. I think there's always an emotional factor. For instance, if you're hypersensitive or you know that you're going to react if you smell something that you don't like, the emotion often activates that reaction before the actual reaction occurs to the chemical that you've just been near. And the two are tied together. And they're always interconnected, especially if now you, in your mind, think, I'm allergic to that. I can't be around that. I would recommend to people and to you that you say to yourself, that is not going to bother me. That's not going to harm me. That's not going to hurt me. I'm not going to have a reaction to that. Doesn't mean you won't. It just means that you won't. You can cut off that emotional reaction to that thing. And that's just as important as the chemical reaction, I think.
Yeah, it's like a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
Like you want to protect yourself because you know you've been down this road before and how sick it's caused you to be. And
you can't control what's around you, you know. I mean, we could tell the 7.5 billion people, all of them on the same day, go do something that's better for them, and you might only get 1 million that actually go do it. And so we have to live and deal with that. So I think our best defense is our emotional defense. On that level.
How do you overcome that though? Like that's not something that you just snap your finger and go, I'm better. How do you like? Is it a brain training? Is it?
Absolutely. Yeah. You've got to practice it. You've got to. To me, it's like the optimist and the pessimist. The optimist is constantly going to be, that's not going to bother him. I'm not going to let it bother me. I'm good. I at the same time, that person can be removing themselves from that environment, which I would recommend. Like if you notice you're exposed to something, some kind of odor, or somebody's doing something that you know is going to end up affecting you physically, one, place your brain into a mode of this isn't going to bother me, but also recognize it could, and remove yourself from that situation if you can. Yeah.
So it's that shifting of mindset, like, oh, I'll be okay. I just need to remove myself.
Yeah, because a lot of people get in, it's going to,
yeah,
because they've had a severe reaction before. But the mind is very strong. I'm a firm believer that someone who's allergic to a bee sting and needs that EpiPen but can't get one can still survive that experience with the right mindset. That their mind does have the ability to stop the reaction if they learn how to do that.
Have you seen that before?
Not physically in a situation where that reaction occurred, no. But I've been in other situations to where I myself I experienced a lot of allergies when I was younger. And I've had many situations to where I could feel an allergic reaction coming on, and I just sat there mentally and telling myself that I wasn't having that reaction.
Was it something you ate or environmental?
Usually I've dealt with allergies to grass and dust and all that.
So if you were rolling around in the grass?
Yeah.
And then you got up and went, whoa.
Yeah, start itching. Try it sometime. You ever had an itch that you didn't scratch and you just told yourself, I am not going to scratch that itch? Try it sometime. People who are listening, try it. Next time you have an itch, don't itch it. In your mind, just keep telling yourself. Actually, you don't want to keep telling yourself, I don't itch, I don't itch, I don't itch.
Because
then you're thinking about itching. What you need to do is come up with words that work for you. What I say to myself is, I feel good, I feel fine, I feel well, and I get up and I do something else. Change my focus onto something else, and soon it won't even be there anymore. It works. You just got to change your perspective.
Okay, Dr. Kell, thanks for talking us through all of those things to avoid. Can you go into a few more of them? And I think you have a download for our listeners today.
Yes, I have a download. There's over 20 different chemicals that are common to our health and hygiene products today. You can download off our website at oceanbaynaturals.com. You have a list in front of you, Niki. Is there anything on there you wanted to had a question about?
Yeah, I'm actually looking at the shea butter, and that's surprising to me.
Oh, isn't that a funny one? Because everybody uses shea butter today. Yeah. Shea butter is like, if you're a naturalist, shea butter, well, it's so good for me.
Yeah. Why?
And shea butter, I would say shea butter in small quantities generally is okay, using it on your hands and arms. But using it, they found that shea butter actually can clog pores. It's a common ingredient to stick deodorants. And that's one of the reasons why we have not, as of yet, developed stick deodorant. We are working on one. But why we went with a spray as well. A spray is harder to use. We didn't really go into that very much either. So maybe we go into that for a second, Niki. About why we're a spray as opposed to a stick or a gel. We're developing a gel. People like that. We're developing a roll-on, and we're working on a stick. My hopes for a stick are good, but the ingredients are significant because though beeswax, which is a common one in there, is not necessarily shown to be irritating to the skin. It's thick and it does initially clog pores. Most of that stick in and of itself, that's one of the ways it works, inhibits your sweating, is because it's clogging your pores for a time. And then over time, after a few hours pass, it's slowly absorbed or works its way off your skin, and then that's when it stops working. A lot of people complain that it can take a long time for a natural deodorant. We were talking about that a little earlier, kind of got off track there. But we went with a spray for a specific reason, and that was we do not want to clog pores. We want it to be healthy for the skin, but we don't want it clogging your pores. You need to sweat. Sweating is important. You don't want to stop your sweating. I know for those who sweat excessively, that's an issue because they feel like, my armpits are all wet and I look gross. If you're really concerned about your health, take an extra shirt or two to work. And
wait, can I ask you something? I just thought of something.
Yeah.
So like a couple days ago, I had really stinky armpits, and I didn't know why. Could that have been like me eating more candy or something like that? I mean,
absolutely.
What makes you stink more?
People who eat lots of processed foods smell worse all the time. The other thing I wanted to mention, the toxin, and that's the toxins coming out. Plus, there's more substances in your sweat for the bacteria to grow on, because you've just fed all that. Bacteria grow on different types of sugars, so you've given more food to the bacteria.
Oh.
So eating processed foods, lots of sweets, you'll definitely smell more if you're eating that way. The other thing people need to understand too, when they're switching from a aluminum-based deodorant specifically, not as much I would say from the other types with the baking soda and the alcohol and the acids, but usually it can take anywhere from, I would say, minimum a week, sometimes people up to a month before their system clears out. And their sebaceous glands and sweat glands begin to actually function normally. And therefore, during that time, they can often experience a higher level of smell. So they may have to apply the deodorant more frequently. They may even have to spot wash in between. Is it less convenient to use a natural deodorant? Yes. Simple fact, it is. You may have to apply it more frequently. It may be important to spot wash sometimes. Sometimes if you wait too long to reapply, that odor is now on your clothes and it's more on your skin, and you can add more of the deodorant to it, but it's not going to necessarily clear it out. So I recommend to people, go in the bathroom, get a paper towel. You can even spray some of the deodorant or a little water on there and just wipe your armpits couple of times and spray some more on, you'll be fine. If it's gone into your clothes, which it could easily have if you sweat into your clothes, you change. Is it more inconvenient than just throwing on the aluminum? It is, but if long-term health is your concern and wellness is your concern, then you kind of need to accommodate those things. It's easier to go to the store and just grab anything on the shelf than it is to search for the organic and natural foods.
You know what else I find? If I'm wearing synthetic clothing, that I smell more.
I always recommend.
Why is that?
Cotton is always the best on your skin.
Yeah, I don't smell with cotton, but polyester, I stink. So do my kids.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is.
Well, it causes more sweating because you're hotter. with polyester. It doesn't breathe as well as cotton does. So therefore, you're going to sweat more, regardless of the deodorant you use. And it gets into your clothes quicker. And the bacteria, I mean, your clothes are right up against your skin. Bacteria is on our skin all the time. Good and bad bacteria is there. The deodorant that we put on, things like alcohol and acids and baking soda and the aluminum, kill the bacteria immediately. So basically, you're void of any bacteria there for a short period of time. Well, now you've stripped away that, you've killed that, but there's residue of the bacteria. The bacteria reproduces itself. So even though you've killed what's on the surface, it comes back, slowly grows back. It doesn't completely go away. Mm. Well, you've killed it, and so it starts to grow again. As it grows again, it gets into the clothes, and it's growing there too. And so the polyester propagates in the polyester much quicker and easier than it does on cotton.
And so each day could be different depending on your toxicity levels in your body.
There's many variables. Stress levels, exercise.
That's true. I was really stressed out, like emotionally.
An emotional, stressful day will produce more sweat, and you will tend to. I would recommend anybody, if you're using our deodorant or any other kind of deodorant, you're having a stressful day, you're probably going to have to apply more anyway.
I know. Just don't wear clothes.
If we can just all be naked and natural, I mean that,
naked naturals.
I don't, there are those that believe human beings would just turn into animals out there if we were walking around with loincloths on. I don't know.
The nudist naturals.
Don't know.
Be perfect.
It would complicate things and make certain things easier.
I mean, you would just freely sweat. It would be incredible.
I mean, we could find an island somewhere and do a study.
I think there's a beach somewhere down in San Diego. What's it called? What is it called?
Maybe we need to go down to Black's Beach and do some interviews.
It's Black's Beach.
Would you be okay with going down there?
Sure, let's try it. Let's try it. I know I wouldn't smell because I wouldn't have polyester up against my skin. I'd be good.
Yeah, very good. Any other questions, Niki?
Yes, I did have another question about.
I don't know if we beat shea butter to death or not, but it can cause acne. Can cause acne under the arms as well on the face.
What about cocoa butter? Is it the same thing?
I haven't found cocoa butter to have those issues. But the American Academy of Dermatologists, which some people may not give them the respect because they're anyway, some real naturals say, "Oh, those guys don't know what they're talking about." But actually, I have, there are people out there using stick deodorants that don't have the other stuff in them, and they still get the acne. I've had a patient not long ago saying, "Yeah, I use the stick, and just around the outside edges of my pits, I get these little pimples."
Oh, wow!
And that's part of what's causing it.
What about propylene glycol? Because that's like in everything, isn't it?
Propylene glycol. Not too many deodorants have propylene glycol in them, but some do. It's known to be a skin irritant. It's actually an antifreeze. And I believe the source is natural gas that is created from. I'm not 100% positive I'm right about that, but I'm pretty sure that's what it comes from. And ironically enough, one of the things I learned in my crop dusting class and other courses I've taken on chemistry is that propylene glycol is an antifreeze, just like the stuff that you put into your car, things that you use on your windshield. They're different forms of alcohols. Propylene glycol is just another type of alcohol. When they decide whether this is safe for you to put in your body or not, what they do is they test the levels, and most of these things are tested on animals. They try to figure out, when they do their testing, how much can you get before your body, actually the first organ in your body that typically has a severe reaction is your liver, because all this stuff is processed through the liver. When you put it in your system, it has to go through the liver before it reaches the rest of your system. And they basically test the toxicity of the liver. How much can you take in your body before you become toxic and have a reaction? Well, propylene glycol has a lower level test rate than, say, the stuff you put in your car, or the alcohol you drink has another level. Overuse of drinking alcohol will cause cirrhosis of the liver over time. Well, propylene glycol, same kind of thing. It's in a lot of skincare products because it's slippery.
That's why.
And it helps add to the consistency of the product and also the lifespan of the product. It in a way also acts as a microbe growth inhibitor.
Okay. One other one that I wanted to ask you about was diatomaceous earth, which a lot of people probably haven't heard of, but I actually once bought that product and gave it to my kids. It's probably really bad.
You heard the president talk about that at one time, right?
No, I didn't hear that.
Oh, no? Yeah.
Which president?
President Trump.
Oh, okay.
Back when COVID began, there was a brief discussion about how it might be antimicrobial or helpful, and I think some people even took some and died from it.
Glad my kids didn't die.
But there's different kinds of diatomaceous earth.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
They put it in swimming pool filters.
Oh.
But anyway, yeah, that's one you don't want in your deodorant. And that one is a little different than the one that you use in a swimming pool, but not recommended. It's not good for the body. It's toxic to the body. Most of these things, and the reason they get away with these chemicals is because, and putting them in these ingredients, because they're looking for a specific effect. They want it to be antimicrobial. They want it to, two things make your products go bad: oxidation or bacterial fungal growth.
Okay.
So if the product becomes oxidized, like oils can become oxidized and become rancid. Mm-hmm. And other products, they grow bacteria in them, so then you shouldn't use them then either. So these chemicals, typically, if they add them to the products, they have some kind of benefit there. Shea butter is a common one because they always thought it was good for the skin, and I think in low amounts, small amounts, it's okay. But it's often if you look at your deodorant, shea butters, when you look at the ingredients on a product label, usually the first ingredient is the one. It has the highest amount of that in mm-hmm. there. And then you follow it down the list, and it goes from greatest amount to least amount inside that mm-hmm. solution. And usually shea butter is up towards the top of the list on many natural deodorants. Usually, though, the biggest thing you want to be concerned about there is the baking soda. The things that are going to cause irritation to the skin, the baking soda, the alcohol, and the acids. And I know you threw out shea butter because everybody thought that's great. Yeah. Great for you.
Well, thanks for discussing all the chemicals to avoid in the natural deodorants. I think that's really interesting. And you have the download on the website, oceanbaynaturals.com, that our listeners can go and get. Also, you're here to educate and improve our lives, and we appreciate you doing that. I mean, a lot of this stuff, we don't have any idea. We're not the scientists that you are. We're not the chiropractic doctor that you are. So thank you so much for coming on today and telling us what to avoid and sharing a little bit more about Ocean Bay Naturals and how you're helping the environment and to educate all of us on what we can do to improve our lives.
Thank you, Niki.
Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next week.
While we make every effort to broadcast correct information, we are still learning. We will double-check all facts, but realize that medicine is a constantly changing science and art. One doctor may have a different way of doing things from another. We are simply presenting our views on how to live a healthy lifestyle that will be as evidence-based as possible. We welcome any comments, suggestions, or corrections of errors. We take no money from drug or device companies. By listening to this podcast, you agree not to use this podcast as medical advice to treat any medical condition in either yourself or others, including but not limited to patients that you are treating. Consult your own physician for any medical issues that you may be having. This entire disclaimer also applies to any guests or contributors to the podcast. Under no circumstances shall Dr. Kell Fullerton or any guests or any contributors to the podcast or any employees, associates, or affiliates of Dr. Kell Fullerton be responsible for damages arising from use of this podcast. This blog should not be used in any legal capacity whatsoever, including but not limited to establishing standard of care in a legal sense or as a basis of expert witness testimony. No guarantee is given regarding the accuracy of any statements or opinions made on this podcast. Our website, blog, and podcasts are all HIPAA compliant. While you may give your email address to subscribe to the website post or to post information on the website blog, we will never share your email address or contact information with any third parties without your explicit permission. The contents of Health Talk with Dr. Kell podcast and the show notes are all copyrighted. All blog posts, podcasts, and show notes that are distributed to the public for free can be redistributed via hard copy or electronic copy for free only if Health Talk with Dr. Kell is included as the acknowledged author within the actual media that is being redistributed. The Health Talk with Dr. Kell podcast is a production of the Orange Stack, with executive producers Dr. Kell Fullerton and Eric Hammond and hosts Niki Sterner.